So each week here at Tree of Life, we share our joys and we share our concerns, and a stone is dropped in the water, reminding us that our life and our experiences create ripples that impact others. Those ripples continue to go out in the world, and what affects us affects all, right? There is a ripple effect. And this is not just a metaphor. We can see examples of these ripples of change and effects in the world around us. Profound examples of small acts of kindness that become amplified when ripples become waves. In Naples, Italy, there's a time-honored tradition called Caffè Sospeso, or suspended coffee, and where you offer two coffees, one regular and one suspended. The receipt for the suspended coffee is placed in a jar or a container that folks have access to as they need. And if somebody comes in who's not able to afford a cup of coffee, either through hardships in their life or just need that extra support, they're able to take that receipt and exchange it for a cup of coffee. No one knows exactly when it started or exactly how it started, but it really gained popularity during World War II as a way of showing solidarity with fellow citizens, fellow Italians in need. And then most recently, it had another great resurgence during COVID, again, to show care and solidarity to those in need. And while it originated in Naples, the practice has spread throughout other cafes in Italy and even other coffee shops around the world. The ripples have become waves. Here in the U.S., in Philadelphia, a young man by the name of Mark Wortman opened a pizza shop called Rosa's Fresh Pizza. And he started a somewhat similar practice. When you ordered a slice of pizza, you could add an extra $1 for an extra slice. And Mark would put a brightly colored Post-it on a special wall, and a person who was homeless could come into Rosa's, take one of the Post-its off the wall, and exchange it for a slice of pizza. Now, after just a short few years, Mark had already given away 10,000 slices of pizza to the homeless in Philly. And since then, Mark's gone on to start a nonprofit raising awareness about hunger and food insecurity, and helps other restaurants develop similar programs in which customers can help feed the homeless and food insecure individuals in their own communities. Those ripples became waves. Now, the people in the coffee shops in Naples don't necessarily know who will receive the Caffè Sospeso, and the customer at Rosa's Fresh Pizza don't necessarily know who will receive a free slice of pizza, but they know that the need is there and that they could make a difference in somebody else's life and in somebody else's day. Mark had no idea when he started how many thousands of slices of pizza he would give away, or that feeding the homeless and hungry would become his life's work. And whoever first started to offer Caffè Sospeso in their neighborhood coffee shop in Naples could not have known that it would become a tradition that would last generations, provide care and solidarity in times of war and crisis, and even inspire the owner of a small pizza shop in Philly. We don't always know what impact ripples will have, or which ripples will become waves, but we know that they do. Our own acts of kindness and of generosity are sometimes ripples, and sometimes they're waves in ways that we might not recognize or notice right away. So I'd like to invite you to take a moment. Think about your own experiences here in our congregation and here in Tree of Life. And think of an act of kindness or generosity that you've either received or that you witnessed. Perhaps it was a wave. Perhaps it was a ripple. And if anyone feels comfortable doing so, I'm going to ask just a couple people to share. I'd invite you to share your example or experience that's coming to mind with the rest of us, a time that you witnessed or experienced kindness or generosity.
I like that Emmy gives me a hug all the time.
I'll never forget when my dad was dying and the congregation just flooded my mom's house with food and cards, and it was during COVID, and it really meant a lot to our family.
When we were still in Woodstock and Dan Larson was minister, one Christmas he gave everyone in the congregation at the Christmas service, and that was a well-attended service, an envelope with $20 in it, and said, "Spend this as you will, but consider who might enjoy a surprise gift and support." And that congregation, all of us, went out and we gave those $20 bills and sometimes more to gas station attendants and people we just saw on the street who looked like they needed. It was a marvelous and exciting time, and we love to share our experiences.
Thank you. Anyone? Oh.
Patrick just reminded me, shortly after we moved here, Janet Burns, for those of you who remember her, gathered all the women in the congregation, mostly women, maybe a couple men, who liked to knit, and they just knitted scarves. And then they went out one night and just put them on fence posts and trees and in parking lots with a little note that said, "If you need this, please take it." And they were all gone. So somebody got a nice warm scarf because we decided to go out and send them. It was lovely.
This is during OWL. My kids are in OWL, and I forgot why there was going to be a birthday cake. Someone had a birthday, and Freddie was going to make the cake, and my son has to eat gluten-free, and Freddie was asking, to make it specific, what ingredients can we use? We're going to make it safe. We're going to keep it safe. And I said, "No, don't worry about it. I'll bring him something." And Freddie insisted on making gluten-free and said, "No, everyone should be included." And it meant so much to me that my son got to be included in that.
This is going to seem really small, but it was important to me. Back when we were we did our big show, I don't remember exactly, it was the celebration of something, and we had this elaborate performance with the decades of Unitarian Universalism, and I was with a small group that was singing a song, and I had missed a rehearsal, and choreography had been added. And I was like, and it was the night of the show, and so the group of us were standing, and they were saying, "Oh no, now we have to do this, and now we have to do this," and I was like, "That's it, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't learn this fast. I'm out." And I really was not going to do it, but Sue Kozlowski just said, "No, don't give up. We will show this to you," and she did, and it just really that moment really stood out to me. She just really made me feel like I belonged in that group and I belonged performing, and it's just something that I've always remembered and I'm always going to remember.
We just recently moved to the area from California, from Sacramento, and we have my husband, myself, and my 2 children. Our 2 kids are autistic. It was pretty difficult flight, so we had to fly in, and kids were super crabby, exhausted, and we had piles of bags and running through O'Hare trying to find our way to a rental car, losing stuff, dropping stuff, picking it up while fighting with 2 toddlers. And it was overwhelming. And we're trying to get into elevator to go downstairs to take yet another elevator. And we're lost. And this lady, she works for United, and she didn't have to do anything. She was probably on her break, maybe going home, done for the long, after a long day. But she literally took our giant cart of stuff and she wheeled it around while we both grabbed our kids, and she directed us, and it was amazing, and she didn't have to do it, and it was life-changing for us at that moment.
Thank you. Ryan and Julie, is there anybody online that would like to share anything? Folks that are online, would either of you like to share anything? And if so, raise your hand, and Ryan and Julie will spotlight you and give you some sound. Go ahead.
Hi, meant a whole lot to me that so many people came out to help me move last month, or 6 weeks ago, I guess now.
Oh, one moment. We don't have volume yet. Sorry. We don't quite have sound. Give us just one moment. Try now.
Okay, I was just touched so deeply that so many people would come out and help me pack up my house before the move at the end of January. And I can't say thank you enough. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. We didn't have super good sound, but what I heard you say is that there were people that helped you pack up for your move, and just how meaningful that was, and that you thank the folks that helped with that. All right. For your stories, but more importantly, for your generosity. Oh, sorry, I thought I'd turned that off. Try that again. Okay. More importantly than the stories. Oh. One more time. There we go. So more importantly than the stories, although the stories are important, it's always good to hear from each other, are those ripples and those waves. That these are stories not only of generosity and stories of kindness, they're also stories of connection, of interconnection, of hope. And the story that we began with, the story of the cafe, the story of the suspended coffee, is also both an act of kindness, but an act of solidarity, an act of connection. In our renewed UU covenant that was adopted last summer, our shared value of generosity is lifted up, grounded and centered in love. Our shared covenant, a sacred promise for how we want to be with one another in order to help the world become a better place. Our promise to choose generosity as a way of being is described in these words. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, our presence, and our resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Our pledge drive is just but one of the ways that we practice generosity in our congregation and in our community. And we often talk about our pledge drive in the context of our budget and what it takes to sustain our church home. And it is that. And it's more. I'm here because I found in this Unitarian Universalist faith, this faith to be life-giving and life-sustaining for me and for my family. This faith in my home congregation enabled my children to thrive and to know that they were loved, not just by their parents, but by a wider community. In a world in which our inherent worthiness and dignity is not always treated as self-evident, they have grown and heard from an entire community that they are loved in no uncertain terms for who they are and who they're becoming. And I'm forever grateful for that. Our pledge is an act of kindness, of generosity, of love and connection, an act of solidarity and mutuality. And every pledge, no matter the amount, like each person here, is worthy and met with appreciation and with gratitude. Consider this. There are some members of our community who may be in need of a cafe sospeso, a pledge sospeso, if you will, that need this life-giving faith and need this life-giving community and are not in a position, through no fault of their own, to give a great deal financially. Perhaps you are lucky enough to be able to pay your pledge in a portion of someone else's. And if you're someone whose financial struggles are very real and are painful, know that you're welcome here, that you're loved and that you're deserving of care and support. Receive every gift that this community and this faith has to offer, and know that someone here and together we have your back. If what you're able to give is a small financial pledge because that's what you can afford, give it with love and give it with pride. We don't ask that you give till it hurts. Just give till it feels good. And know that your ripples become waves. And if you're able to afford to give at levels that help sustain you and others, please give that with love and with gratitude, in solidarity and in community. And know, too, that your ripples will become waves. Your pledge is a gift of love, of gratitude, of hope, of connection, mutuality, and of solidarity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. So let us join in singing one more time the words of hymn number 402. I invite you to remain seated, but as you sing the words, take a moment to look at those around you, to those in our community, and let us please sing these words to one another. Number 402, from you I receive, to you I give.